In this video, we'll talk about functions in Python. So, in almost every programming language, there is a concept of functional programming. So, using functions, we can define the logic once and can use it multiple times. So, if you are a newbie, let me explain you the purpose of functions. So, let's say you want to print the multiplication table of a particular number. Okay. So as we have done in our previous video, we printed the multiplication table of 24 using for loop. So we do like this: for I in range 1 to 11, that means from 1 to 10. So I print it like this, right? Print it like F, and then inside it I print like this: 24 into I is equals to 24 times I. Okay, so this was printing the multiplication table of 24 for us. Now every time I want to print another table, I have to copy this. So let's say I want to print a table of 57, I have to write this, right? So we have to use multiple loops. Okay, so but length of the code can be reduced if we make use of functional programming. We can create functions and do the same task with ease. Okay, let me tell you how you can define a very simple function first of all. Okay, so this is how you can define a very simple function. The def, that means define. Okay, def keyword is used to define the function, and then the name of the function. You can give any name to the function, and then parenthesis, and then colon, and then indentation, and then you can write within the block whatever. So the indentation is similar to loops or if else statements. Then it says hello, I am a function. Okay, so let me print it. You see, nothing happens, nothing is printed. A function will not be executed unless or until it is called. So we have to always call the function to execute it. So here in the fourth line, I'm calling the function like this: hello, then parenthesis. Okay, now I'm running it. So you see, hello, I'm a function, it runs. Okay, what if I want to execute the function multiple times? I can do like this: multiple times. So here I have called the function 5 times. It will be called and executed 5 times. You see, hello, I'm a function, hello, I'm a function, hello, I'm a function. So this property of the function, that we can define it once and can use it as many times as we want, helps to reduce the length of the code and make it a better way of programming. So let me come back to the point. I want to write a function to print a multiplication table. Okay, so I have to define a new function here, table, and then inside this table I'm just using a for loop to print the table for I in range of 1. Let's say let me start the table from 0, just write 11. Okay, so here I'm writing printing the f string, and let's say now here I'm using one thing. I'll tell you what. Okay, so currently within the function I'm defining number is equal to 5. I'm printing a multiplication table of 5. Number multiplied by I equals to number multiplied by I. Okay, so the function is not yet called. I'm calling it here table. Okay, let's call it and run it. So you see, it prints the multiplication table of 5 when it's called, and if I call it multiple time, it will print the table multiple times. Okay, now here I have manually defined number here, but I want to pass the number as an argument. So now the concept of argument arises. Argument is something that you can pass to the function or provide to the function. Okay, what I mean is, see, just simply see in this example, I write number within these parentheses. Okay, and then now I am like calling the like this 10, let's say table, and within bracket I pass 10. So now this 10 will be go to this number. This 10 will now go to this number. Okay, let's see. You see, now the table of 10 is printed because we have passed 10 here. If I will pass, let's say 45 here and execute it, you see the table of 45 is executed. So now I can use the same function to print the multiplication table of any number. any number. I can write for 43, 4, whatever. You can see. So this helped me to reduce the length of code. I need not to write two different for loops to, for one for 45, one for 434. I just defined the function once and I'm using the function again and again. Okay. So that's how functional programming helps us. Okay. Now I was talking about arguments. So you see here I define number. I can also call it like this. I can also call it like this. Table and the number is equal to, let's say, 450. You can also call it like this. I can provide the value like this, or I can simply provide the value like this. Okay. This is called argument of the function. Okay. So here it will call parameter. Here it is called as argument. Number is the parameter that we have defined in the function, and argument is basically the value of that parameter that we are providing it or passing to the function. Okay, so here this range is also a function, but this is a built-in function. We need not to define it anywhere. It is already there in Python built-in, and here 11 is the argument. Okay, so you see we are also passing two arguments sometimes like this, 1, 11. Similarly, you can also assign multiple arguments here as well. Okay, let's say here I'm assigning another argument. Here I'm defining another parameter up to. So that up to I am passing here. Okay, that up to I am passing here. So this defines I want the multiplication table up to what number. Okay, so here I'm defining like I want the multiplication table of 45 up to. So up to I have to pass 11 because range I have to define one more number than it. So let's say here in range I define up to plus 1. Okay, so now if I want the multiplication table of 45 up to 10, I will provide like this. And if I want the multiplication table of, let's say, of 45 up to only 5, then I will provide like this. Let's see what it gives. So you see, first the multiplication table is printed up to 10 and then it is only printed up to 5. And similarly, I can also print the multiplication table up to 500 times. Okay, you see, that's the beauty of functional programming. Okay, now you see, if I will not provide the second argument, this will raise an error. You see, table missing one required positional argument up to. So the argument is not passed. So to handle such cases, we can assign default values to the arguments. Like if the user does not pass, it make use of the default value. Let's say that is 10. Okay, so now if I will run, it will not give an error. Okay, I have only passed one argument and it takes the default value 10 and hence it prints the multiplication table up to 10. But you can always pass another value. Let's say I want to print up to 15 and this 15 will override this 10. Okay, now we get the multiplication table up to 15. So we have talked about functions, how you can define them, and the arguments. Okay, so the arguments are also of two types, named and unnamed arguments. So here you can use them as named arguments as well as like unnamed arguments. So I can write like this also, number is equal to 5 and up to is equal to 50. I can do like this as well. Okay, so that's also work. But you can't do like this. You provide one as named argument and other as unnamed argument. Okay, if you are providing unnamed argument, then all of the arguments should be unnamed and should be in the exact same order. If number is at first, then the number should be first. If up to is at second, then the up to should be at second. Okay, now let me come to one more concept about functions, that is the return statement. Okay, that is the return statement. This is very important concept. So let me define a function add. What does it do? It add two numbers. Okay, let's say a and b. So I'm passing arguments to this function. So here I've defined two parameters a and b and I will pass them as arguments. Okay, and this function I simply write return a plus b. So this function will return the sum of the two numbers. Where it will return, let me show you. So if I simply run add, it will not show anything, it will not print anything. Oh, I have to provide the arguments, let's say 10, 20. So you see no errors and also no result. So this value is not printed anywhere, but this function is returning. We require either a print statement or a variable to catch that value. Okay, so now I'm printing. Now you see, okay, whatever this function is returning, it is being printed, that is 30, as we are doing here. Okay, if I create a multiply function, let me just change the logic. I'll keep the name as it is, I'll change the logic, a multiply b, you see the value change. Okay, so a function can be used to return a value, and this concept is widely used. Okay, this concept is used everywhere. Okay, so you can also do like this, result is equal to add 10 and 50, let's say, and then you can also print the result. So you can store whatever the function returns in another variable. You see 60. Okay, okay, now there is one limitation. What limitation is that? Let's say if I want to write a function that can add as many as numbers, so you will think that add multiple, let's say add multiple numbers, I create this function. Now you will think that I have to write as many as parameters here, as many as I want to, you know, add or whatever logic I want to implement. But there is a solution in Python for this. Okay, so that solution is args. You have to use this star symbol and then args. Okay, so now this args will contain all of the arguments. So I am printing args. So when to access args, you can just do like this. Okay, args. Okay, so let me just call this function. Okay, add multiple numbers, and now here I'm providing multiple numbers, 10, 20, 9, 30, 53. Okay, let's see what happens. Let me just remove this one now. Okay, okay, so you see I call this function add multiple numbers, and you see it prints a tuple. So within parentheses whatever is, it is a tuple, right? So it prints a tuple with all of the that contains the values as items, whatever we have passed in the arguments. Okay, so here you have to use this star symbol, but here you can simply use args within the function. Okay, so you know tuple is an iterable object, so we can use it like this to sum up the values and return the result for, let's say, for number in args. Okay, for number in args, here I can define sum is equal to 0, and then I can just, you know, use the assignment operator plus equal to add the number within it, and then finally return. So you see we are not returning inside the for loop, we are returning outside the for loop in the indentation of the function. Okay, make sure this. Okay, and then I'm returning the sum. So let's see what it will not print anything, as we are not you know, getting the result, printing the result of this function. So now let's see what it gives. You see it prints 122, which is the sum of all of these numbers, and I can write any numbers, whatever I want to write here, any number of arguments. Okay, and it will give the sum. So this is how you can you know, just write args and this with the star symbol, and you can pass as many as arguments as you want. Now this is just for, you know, unnamed arguments. You can't use args for named arguments. Okay, and also notice one thing, that here whenever I am using args, here you can use any other variable name as well. You can use like whatever. It says that you should use this star symbol in the start. Okay, let's say I'm using GURMWT, Gurmeet, my name. This will also, you know, work. You see this will also work. So it is printing none because this is not returning anything. Okay, let me just return false. You can return any Python object. Okay, so it is returning false. So here what I mean is you can just use any variable name here, right? And now for keyword arguments, the only thing that you have to keep in mind is this double star symbol. Okay, now I'll print this one and you'll see it prints nothing because we have passed positional arguments, we have passed unnamed arguments, right? This is position based arguments, right? But we have not passed any keyword arguments. That's why it is not printing anything. Okay, let me pass some keyword argument. Let's say name is equal to Gurmeet and age is equal to 22. Okay, now I'll run it. Now you see it returns a dictionary. So this KWARGS, keyword arguments, or that is defined by using this double stars. Okay, this gives a dictionary that will contain key value pairs of the named arguments. Okay, you see. Okay, now let me define a function with keyword argument and named arguments as well, both. Okay, so this function will do nothing but just print the values. Def just a function, I'm defining just a random name, and then here I'm specifying args comma, then with double star any variable name you can write. I'm writing kwargs and then I'm printing args and then kwargs. Okay, now I have just passed positional arguments to this function. So you see it gives only the tuple 10, 20, 30, but the dictionary is empty because I have not passed any keyword arguments. Okay, now I will only pass keyword arguments. Let's say name is equal to Gurmeet Singh and then age equals to 22. Now I have passed two positional arguments. Now the tuple is empty but the dictionary is full. Okay, and the dictionary contains the keyword arguments that I have passed. But now there is a twist. Okay, now if I will pass 10, 20, so I have passed positional arguments first and then I have passed two keyword arguments. Now see, it also works. Okay, now let me try this one. I am passing the positional arguments here 10, 20. Okay, so it will not work. Okay, the reason it gives is positional argument follows keyword argument. Okay, so this thing is not working. Okay, this thing that you have to keep in mind. That's all about Python functions.